known you a long time, and I think we're pretty good friends, at least from my perspective.
Oh yeah.
You've been successful in a lot of, sorry about that. You've been successful in a lot of different avenues. When I met you, you were producing and you were just getting out of your acting career, basically, or you're still acting, but you were kind of moving more into
Hmm.
producing. And now you've gone into, I would say, international business, basically. So tell us what you're doing these days, uh, and tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so I moved to the United States about over 20 years ago from Japan.
Mhm.
So basically starting everything from the scratch, not only a business, but a second chapter of my life here without no language, no friends, no place to stay. A lot of immigrants can relate to that. Um, so I started out as an actor. I was in the movie The Last Samurai and the Disney Channel's Wendy Homecoming Warrior in 2004 and 6. And my wife and I started a production company called the Shin Entertainment. I think I was like a 22 or 23 years old. I mean, I didn't even know how to run a company back then, but it was okay. I love challenge.
I think that's probably when I met you because you were just
Yeah.
getting that off the ground. So wow, yeah. And then how did you get that part in The Last Samurai? Because I guess that's what people would know most. You know, if you're a kid, you probably know Wendy Wu, but everybody knows The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I auditioned for it. I was at my friend's house trying to make my official website back then, trying to take off grant. And I found the open casting call on the internet. I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a lawyer, anybody back then. And my only experience in acting was a student film and a music video as a background. And I just submitted myself, and I was a US national champion in Kung Fu back then. So I submitted my photo and I went to casting. She loved it, went back in. I was meeting with the two producers in the second audition. They asked me so many questions. So they said, so Shin, what are you doing in the United States? You're not from here. Yeah, I'm from Japan. I'm an international student. I'm attending at the LACC, Los Angeles City College. Oh, okay. Are you available in 2 months? It's like, what? Yeah, I should be. I didn't know. I didn't know the procedure of getting absent from college. And I got the part, and the next thing I knew, I was having a dinner with Tom Cruise and Ed Zwick and all the producers and writers and a wonderful Japanese famous cast. I was the only unknown Japanese cast who was cast out of Los Angeles. Everybody else was cast from Japan. And my part was auditioned for over 100,000 people around the world for many, many months. They couldn't find my part. And I came in out of nowhere on t-shirt, and I just, boom, American dream.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Speaking of American Dream, um, I always, I have nieces and nephews and a lot of young
Mm,
people that are in my family, and I listen to them uh, talk about how difficult it is to make it in America, and I
mhm,
explain to them, because my family's originally from Eritrea, and I still have family over there, that they don't realize how good they have it. So when you say American Dream, as a person that grew up in Japan, which Japan itself is an amazing country, uh,
mhm.
what to you is the American dream?
American dream is a dream that you are always dreaming to achieve, like no matter where you are, but America has so much freedom to pursue many things in life. Many countries are kind of restricting what you want to achieve because of the cultural barrier or the religions. There's so many things that you don't have much freedom to pursue whatever you want. And America, you just come here. I came here with no friends, no money, no place, with only a dream that I had. I was only 18 years old. And the only thing that really takes you to achieve your American dream is your dedication. You have to perseverance too. Like you have to really not give up and just keep going. And also, American dream is something that you can you can try many things. You can challenge many things for what you want to do. And here, like I came here to pursue my acting, but I found other American dreams that I didn't even know when I was younger. I mean, when you're young, what do you know about life? What do you know about businesses out there? So yeah, that's what I think. So I'm still in pursuit of my American dream. Became American dreams rather than American dream.
That's awesome. You know, when I was a kid, and this might just be my perspective, so I don't, you know, I haven't taken a poll or anything like that. But when I was a kid, it seemed like being an entrepreneur was like this amazing thing that people strived for and wanted to do. But lately, it seems like being an entrepreneur is a problem. Have you seen a change in how Americans think about the American dream and being an entrepreneur from when you got here, which was what, 25 years ago, maybe?
20 years ago.
20 years ago to now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed in over 20 years, obviously. Technology has changed. We didn't have a social media. We didn't have an app. We didn't have a lot of startup companies that are successful back then. And you have to be kind of older to be successful, to do a bigger deals. Age did matter a little bit. But today, you can be 16, 17 years old with amazing ideas, with amazing apps, amazing startups, the ideas, then you can become pretty successful. It doesn't really matter. That's what I really like about America. Sometimes it's all about your ideas, what you have, your talent. Like, for example, Japan, if you're 18 with amazing ideas, amazing IPs, it doesn't matter. Oh, you're still 18, you don't know what you're doing. And they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to buy your company. They look at you as a kid. That's not what it is in the United States. You have what it takes. You have what people want. You can become multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire in your lifetime. That's what I like about America.
So I think what you're saying is that there's a lot more opportunities here than in most places, even Japan, which, you know, Japan is so first world. And even things that I see in Japan that I go, wow, this really makes the United States look like a third world country with some of the technology they have over there. But you're saying that over there, um, even someone with the best ideas isn't going to get listened to or isn't going to be able to produce something. So then where does Japan get such great technology and great ideas?
So they're very systemized culture. So your path is already set up for you. Here, you have to be innovative to create your own path. Japan, when you go to high school, college, your path is already there for you. Their big dream is to work for big corporations. So big corporations are the ones that have all the great IPs, and so people are very comfortable getting paid salary, and because it's much easier for their own lives. And there is no culture that young people start their own startup companies, because again, it's just a culture that they will look at you or judge you based on your age.
Mm.
So that's the big barrier. And here, working for a big corporation is good, but you have another opportunity to start up your own company and become successful. Japan just doesn't have that. It's just a business culture there.
So that's interesting that you say that. So how did you end up so differently? So first of all, being an
So you tell
actor,
me. Yeah.
yeah. First of all, being just deciding to move to America and be an actor is something different. But
Mhm.
since I've known you, you've owned your own businesses and done your own thing. I've never seen you with a job, and actually, I've never seen your lovely wife Carolina with a job. You guys have always done well for yourselves, just figuring it out for yourselves. So, what do you think made you so different?
Yeah, that's a really good question to my parents. But my parents are not entrepreneur at all. My dad is a local government employee. My mom is a caregiver, looking after older people. and my brother has nothing to do with starting up a company. So I just came out of nowhere. Probably I was so influenced by American movies back then. My dad is a huge fan of American movies, so I grew up watching it, middle school and high school, all the way. But starting a company wasn't my priority when I moved to the United States. Nothing. My focus was acting, to become a Hollywood actor, successful Hollywood actor. But I met my wife near Light in Birmingham, Alabama, actually Huntsville, Alabama, Japanese Colombian meeting, Alabama. And my wife really, she was always encouraged to start her own business. So her dad was a very successful Colombian business man, importing all the medical equipment. So when we were younger, acting, show business is not really stable. So in 2005, we just talked about, why don't we start our own company and start building it? Because it takes time to build a company. And at the time, I was already in the Last Samurai, and I was coming out of Disney Channel. So I had pretty good opportunities to work with the different investors to make our own show and comic book and become a content creator. So I think my wife was very influenced me to start our own company, and then we started our nonprofit. So it just, and I just fell in love with doing what you want to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, what's most interesting to me is that you have a different perspective, because uh, most of the clients that I deal with are having a hard time being entrepreneurs in California, and are looking to move elsewhere, or looking for other ways to to do business in California. Yet you come from a culture that's even more restrictive than California, and then you're
Mhm.
doing business in California. So for you, this probably isn't, all the restrictions that are in California that aren't in other places in the United States probably don't seem that bad to you. Or what do you think of that?
Yeah, because of the nature of my business, it doesn't really matter where I am, because most of my businesses are focused on international businesses. So yes, it doesn't matter in terms of taxes, California versus Texas, obviously, like uh, Texas is more friendly in business, and California may have so much legal issues if you do something wrong. But it's about also, I keep it my business integrity too. Like, you have to be honest, you have to be transparent in business. So whoever you're doing a business, I'm very picky who I do a business with, and I choose a character over people's talents or what they can offer, because business is something that you're gonna spend. It's like a marriage, almost, like, you have to really like the person, or they have to like you, and we have to trust each other. So it's very important for me to choose who I want to work with, even with the business matching business I do with the United States and Asia and in South America. I talk to the person first and see, can I really trust this person or this company or the group of people, the team that they have to do a business. If it's a single transaction, it's fine. But again, I come from Japan, which is based on a trust. The business is based on a trust and the relationships. So I have the value in me when I do a business, building the relationships. Then you talk about business. Like in Japan, I didn't, when I meet people, a successful business person, I don't ask for a business right away on the first meeting. I build a relationship with them. And I know after spending a few months or a year or two, I usually wait for the person to ask me, so what kind of business are you doing, and what are you selling right now? It had happened to me many, many times. And whatever I do, even if I have a really sloppy products or whatever, the products that doesn't sell, the person will buy it from you because they can trust me. They will hire me or hire our company to do our businesses because we trust each other. Versus the United States is very different. Relationships, why would I have to spend a time with the person for a year before I talk about the business? Let's get to the contract, let's get to the agreement. So I have two inside of I'm kind of a hybrid person in business. I can do American way, I can do Asian way.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that part of the way Asians do business, I think is really good. You know, I had a really good friend that went to China early on, and he came back, and I always considered myself a fairly good networker, but he
Mhm.
taught me the Chinese way of networking, and it was exponential business versus what I was doing. The American way is to meet people and say, "How are you? What can you do for me?" Right? And if they
Yeah.
can't, you move on, right?
Yeah.
But the Chinese way is to uh, get to know the person and get to know all the people that they have contacts with, and then that person vouches for you, and then you get business from all. So it could be a doorman or it could be a CEO. You know, it's
Mhm.
you just don't know who they're connected to. And once I started doing that, I not only did I have better relationships, but I also did better business. I really do like that about Asian culture. Um, and what you were saying about trust, it really took me a little bit of time to figure that piece out, because I
Mhm.
always figured I would uh, do business with whoever's convenient right now and then work it out later. Um, but there's that saying about doing a deal with the devil. You know, you're never gonna win. You know, so it took a few lumps to learn that before I realized. So I know that's an Asian thing too, and I didn't learn it from Asians, but it took a few beatings to figure that piece out. So
Yeah, yeah. Chinese way is same as Japanese way. I think it's a pretty uh, similar in all Asian countries.
yeah, and what about what you're into now? What's the big business? Because I know you have several of them, and even one with me. But
Mhm.
what's the big one that really takes up your time?
Yeah, two things. Obviously, as a producers, we've been producing two video games, one for console, one for app, and we've been working on a series of new comic book series. It's basically to build different IPs,
Mm.
because we were told by a studio executive in Hollywood that create your own comic book, even if it's not published, because studio will buy all the IPs of comic book. So we've been building different IPs, and also our company is hired by um, uh, another company or individual who's interested in building their own IPs. So we're pretty good at creating comic books, and we're doing well for that. And movies, 3, 4 movies in development, and we're always raising money. And we just came back from China and Hong Kong, meeting different investors. That's one business, entertainment business: movie, television show, comic book, anime. Animated is big things, and the digital stickers for Line app. So the little digital stamp that you send in a mobile chatting system, we produce that for our clients. The Line app has over 1 billion users, so it's probably the largest or one of the largest apps. So we create digital stickers for US clients. The second business is something that I've been doing over 10 years, which is bridging businesses, mostly US, Japan. If US startup companies are interested in doing business in Japan, they contact me, but I only take referral. So I've done nanotechnology, agricultural, nuclear energy. I've done shopping mall deal. I've done coffee bean deals. I've done a lot of different businesses to Japan and vice versa. So one of my consulting client is Eon Group, which is the largest Asian retail company. They have the largest shopping mall, insurance company. They're a global uh, Fortune 500 company. So I do advices for them for the United States for introducing new businesses to Japan. And I've done because my wife is Colombian. I've taken the most famous coffee from Colombia, Juan Valdez, to Japan. So we've done many different type of businesses here.
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that about the coffee stuff. And then you also do a lot of stuff with, uh, with charities and all of these things. So describe that because, you know, besides doing good for the world, it's also very good for business to be involved in charities.
Yeah, charity is something that I didn't plan to start back then, back in 2004. Right after The Last Samurai, I was kind of encouraged to do a nonprofit charity work. Um, and my first charity effort was teaching karate at the Boys and Girls Club of America in Burbank after school program. And people contacted me to support their own charities in Texas, Houston. I used to go to Houston all the time for Chuck Norris martial arts program, and Washington D.C. And started helping homeless in downtown LA, Skid Row, and getting people's used clothes and gathering, making handmade sandwiches, and that's how we kind of started our own foundation 2008. So I've done charity work for 4 years myself from 2004 to 2008. 2008, my wife and I started our foundation called Koyamada International Foundation, KIF, starting helping homeless in downtown LA, our neighbors, because I'm in LA. Then we've done a U.S. martial arts festival in Redondo Beach with all the martial arts grandmasters from around the world representing 15 countries, and disaster efforts and young leadership program, women's empowerment, uh, people-to-people exchanges, and I just loved doing charity work, helping our community, because with that I can't do things myself. So it's important for me to have that side of me, helping people with no intention of getting anything in return. Business, yes, give and take, but charity, you give. Um, so I think about, I always, it really makes me feel good about doing it.
Yeah, and then you have that. Yeah, that's great. And then you have the sister cities. You're involved in that, and then some NGOs and a bunch of. I can't remember if it was World Health Organization or if it was the which big organization are you involved in?
Yeah, so we are involved with multiple international organizations. One of them we signed agreement with is United Nations Population Fund. They're all about uh, reproductive health and women's empowerment, gender equality, gender-based violence program. So we became partner with the UNFPA. UNFPA is United Nations Population Fund. It's one of the largest UN agency based in New York. I was also a national board member of Sister Cities International, doing lots of Sister City exchanges. I don't know if you know about Sister City, but Sister City is all about people-to-people exchange among cities. So US city has different sister cities with the different cities in other countries, and they do youth exchange, educational exchange, economic exchange. There are so many things going on. So we focus on building people-to-people ties through different programs.
Okay, that's all awesome. So before we wrap it up, because we have about 5 minutes here, uh, I'm going to ask you a question not related, and then because I think people would want to hear this, they're interested, and then I'll ask you a question related to this. So you mentioned earlier in the video the sit down with Tom Cruise. I'm sure everybody wants to know what Tom Cruise is.
Yeah, no, my first impression was, wow, amazing guy. Because I walked into a door in a restaurant in Los Angeles, in North Hollywood, and I saw this guy's back, and I tapped his shoulder, and he turned around. It was a Tom Cruise, and I had a sweaty t-shirt because I didn't know what the manner was back then, because I was training martial arts so much, and we shook hands, and he was staring at me, and he didn't let go of my hands. It's like he was just shaking hands like 30 seconds. Who shakes hands for 30 seconds? And I was like, wow, this guy is so friendly and welcoming. So that's what I felt on the set with Tom Cruise for 8 months. Every single day, Monday through Friday, you get to know somebody very well. And we were in the makeup the place together every day. We started our conversations, and how are you doing? Hey Tom, how are you doing? So how's your day going? And he comes to the set and he shakes hands to everyone on the set. So he's a very professional, obviously, but very down to earth. And he shared me many things about his early career. He took me in very personally for some reason. It was very fascinating. It was my first movie. Sometimes between scenes, he stopped that movie shooting, and he basically pulls me over and then share his early career life. And everybody was like, "What's going on? We have to film." But he stopped the whole filming to tell me.
You cost the production a lot of money there, Shin.
Yeah, I know. And then he told me, "Shin, you remind me of when I was starting out." He told me that every time we do scenes or every time we meet, and I went to his house, I think it was the baseball game that we were cheering with his girlfriend at the time and different directors and his sister and kids. But anyway, I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from The Last Samurai. Thanks to that Last Samurai, I think he opened many opportunities in the world for me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear because, I mean, I don't know him at all, but he gets a lot of bad press, so you just never know, you know. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that because I really admire his story, you know, and so that's great. All right, now back to what we were talking about. In closing, is there any piece of advice you would give young entrepreneurs?
For young entrepreneur, it's important to be optimistic. It's easier to feel, well, I'm not doing well. Nobody's listening to me. Am I doing the right thing? Am I meeting with the right people? Um, it takes some time to build your own business. And my my piece of advice, the biggest piece of advice is to network. Network. If you want to become a business owner, network. The network people that you work with or will help you, you help them. And like going back to what I was saying, building relationships and getting to know somebody and knowing more people, the better it is to get more resources and information that you get. And it will always help you. You know, entrepreneur, you never know what's next big things. And the information is very valuable. So the information sometimes comes from the internet or social media, or it comes from your a group of friends, a group of network that you have. They just, hey, because I know you, you're my friends, let's do a business together. That's how a business starts. So my piece of advice is meet people as much as you can, hang out with them, do a favor for them, ask for a favor, and action. It's all about action. And if you think about it, just take action. You know, just don't think about second question, third question myself. Should I do it? Should I not do it? People will tell you, no, that's not going to be successful, or you're too young. No, just do it.
That's great advice, Shin. I mean, there's always the naysayers out there, right? And there's always the people that couldn't do it themselves, so they want to put that on others that can do it. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I know we talk once a week anyway, or about that, but I really appreciate you doing this for me. So we'll talk soon, probably a little later in the week, and have a good rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right. Have a good one, Shin.